So this is if we cut it in the middle. Yeah. Yeah. So let me just so the first yeah. So the first thing, the cornea, that's this part, the very front of the eye. This is if you expand it to this big, but it's right here in the very front, and you cannot see it in the normal person because it's totally clear. Normal. Yeah. Oh, sorry. So yeah. So that's the cornea. So if you go back, so the cornea is this part right here, the very very front. If you touch your eye right in the front, you touch the cornea. It's the first thing you touch. It's totally clear. Yeah. Okay. The next thing. So this. Yeah.
他刚刚讲的意思就是说，这个眼球我们现在把它切成两半，中间切开来，所以可以看到纵切面，你就可以看到眼睛的前面这个地方。这是眼球前面，这个是在后面，网膜就在上面。你看起来就像一个照相机，就是想象说它光线怎么进来。
Right. So this is the cornea. That's the very front. The next part I'm going to talk to you about is there's two different parts. The white part of the eye. There's actually some basically almost like skin on top of the white part of the eye, and that's called the conjunctiva. That's this. So actually on top of the white part, there's actually this right here. This is called the conjunctiva right here. So this layer is on top of the white part. It's called the conjunctiva. It's normally clear, so it looks white, but sometimes when your eyes get red, that's the part that gets red. Is that part of it?
这个眼睛的外面的这个表面的地方，叫做这个结膜的地方，就是像我们人的皮肤在这最外表的地方，正常看起来应该是白白的，不是说有红的。你如果有结膜炎，这个地方看起来就会红色。
Right. And underneath it is the white part of the eye. Is basically like a shell. Like on the egg, there's a shell. The white part of the eye is called the sclera. It's this part here, the sclera. It's underneath the conjunctiva.
这个就接着下去的，就是在后面这个地方白的地方，就像一个壳，因为眼球就是有一个固体的这样。
So the sclera is basically like the barrier between the outside and the inside. If you get poked inside your eye, then if it goes through the sclera, then it goes into your eye, or if it goes through the cornea, it goes through your eye. That's so the outer part of the part that actually makes the ball is the cornea and the sclera together. They're kind of one part, the part that makes the shell of the eye, and then the conjunctiva is kind of like the skin on top of the sclera. So okay, move on. So just another picture. This is the eye inside the eyelids. So the conjunctiva actually it goes on the white part of the eye and it goes underneath, and then it folds back and underneath the eyelid. You see right here. And then same thing, it goes on here. So that's why, like, if you wear contact lenses, contact lens cannot go behind your eye. It's impossible because even if it goes up here, it will get stuck up here. You can still, if you move your eye, you can get it. So the conjunctiva, this part here, actually folds, up here and down here in the eyelid. So they're actually, you can't actually go behind this part unless the conjunctiva, there's a hole here. Then. But that's conjunctiva, and it's like the skin. It goes underneath the eyelid, and it goes above the white part of the eye.
这个他刚刚就在说明说，这个结膜呢，它有一个像那个领住的房子的这街道有一个 cutting sock， 它这个就没有办法说，譬如你戴隐形眼镜，没有办法说把眼睛放进去，有时候那个戴的人会很紧张。他说我的那个看得面跑到眼球后面去，不可能的事情。
Yeah, exactly.
就在这里就阻挡了。
Right, exactly. Yeah. Okay, then iris. So the color part of the eye, this part here is called iris. This part is called the iris. So when you look inside the eye, the part you're seeing is the iris. You're actually seeing it behind the cornea. So the cornea, remember the cornea is right here, and the iris is iris is the color part of the eye. So you don't see the cornea because it's totally clear. What you're actually seeing is the iris behind the cornea.
这个 iris 这个中文叫做虹膜，它就是在 cornea 在角膜的后面。
Yeah, exactly. And then a pupil, the pupil is actually not a object. It's just a hole. So it's not actually a thing. There's no such thing as let me touch the pupil. You can't touch a pupil. It's just the iris. It opens and closes, and there's a hole in the middle. And the hole in the middle is the pupil. So
瞳孔就是所谓的中间这个洞的地方，它不是一个构造，只是一个洞。
And then behind the iris is this thing. It's the lens. So everyone's born with the lens inside the eye. It's totally clear. And then when you get older, that lens becomes cloudy. That's a cataract. Okay.
那中间这个白白这个东西就是所谓的晶状体，这个就是你如果年轻的时候是很透，眼睛看起来是很光亮透彻，就是因为这个是透光的。那年老的时候，这个地方变白的，这个就是白内障。
Exactly. Yeah. So actually, the cataract is not in the front of the eye. It's not a growth on the front. It's behind the pupil. It's behind the pupil. I'll show you later. I'll show you pictures later. Okay. So that's the pupil again. One more time. The pupil is this hole here. It's a pupil. It's not actually a thing. It's just a hole. Okay. And then the cornea is here. The iris is here. And then there's the lens here. Yeah.
Okay. 这个就是再一次让你看到
Just showing many pictures.
光说就是由这边透进去这个瞳孔，经过这水晶体到里面，这就是人为什么可以看见的。
Yeah, exactly. And then the back of the eye. So this, if you cut the eye in half, this is what it looks like. Okay. If you go behind the lens, there's all this open space here. It's actually filled with this kind of gel. I'll explain later. That's clear. And then the very back layer of the eye is called the retina.
对啊，这个就再一次让你看到，把这个眼球切开来看，你看你前面有瞳孔这个地方进来，经过这个 lens 到的这个里面的玻璃体，等一下我们会提到，这个整个东西就是一个胶状的东西。
It's kind of like wallpaper on the inside of the eye, the retina. This whole thing, it's inside layer of the eye is called the retina.
这个网膜就整个贴在这里，就像你墙壁贴的壁纸。
Exactly. Yeah. Just one last time to show you the different layers. So if you cut the eye here, you can see there's different layers. The retina is this yellow, kind of like this yellow layer here, and the white part is the outside, is the sclera linear. And then the very back of the eye, there's the nerve. So this thing is the optic nerve. It connects all the way to your brain. So yeah, so that's the nerve. Okay, so it's just in the very back of the eye. All right, keep moving. So just one more time, just so you see the picture again. Okay. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about kind of glasses or contacts just very quickly. I don't do a lot of glasses or contacts. Usually the optometrists, but I just want to explain a little bit about them. So
这一部分是他平常眼科医生不谈这方面，因为我们这个国家有 optometrist 验光师，这个就是说你的视力有问题的，他现在简单介绍一下。
So basically, so wearing glasses does not mean you have a disease. You know, if just have to wear glasses doesn't mean there's something wrong with your eye. It just means that you need glasses to see. So if you can wear glasses and see 20/20, then that eye is generally considered a healthy eye. So just because you have to wear glasses doesn't mean it's unhealthy.
这个意思就是说，这个眼睛有视力的问题，并不是真正眼睛有疾病，这是两回事。如果你的定义就是说，你的眼睛的视力如果可以用矫正，用眼镜或是 contact lens 可以矫正到 20/20， 那就表示说你眼睛是健康的。
Yeah, so there's different types of correction that people need. Nearsightedness, farsightedness. There's not really a word for this. Old-sightedness is called presbyopia in English, and then astigmatism. These are not diseases. These are just what happens with changes to your eye. The way you're born, or if you get older, this happens. Astigmatism is also not a disease. It's just the way your eye is shaped. So,
大概有分4种，就是大家都知道近视、远视，另外一个就是老花眼，另外一个是散光。
Yeah, exactly. But they're not diseases. So just to explain a little bit nearsightedness. This is the normal of the eye. The light comes in here and it's focused by the cornea and by the lens, and then it focuses to a point on the retina, so it's clear on the retina. With nearsightedness, the light comes in here and the focus is before the retina, so then it becomes a blurry picture on the retina right here.
这个就是让大家知道说近视是怎么产生的。正常的看着左边这个，你可以看到清楚，就是说这光经过 lens 它会聚光，聚光的时候那个焦点如果是刚好在这个地方，它就可以看清楚。但是你如果在它的前面，就没有办法聚在上面。
Yeah, so I mean, actually, so God created our eye perfectly. So actually, the cornea plus the lens together focuses the light to become this point here. For a lot of people, that's what makes our eyes. It's so special because these two together have to be basically perfectly. The space between them and the power between the lens and the cornea have to be exactly right for you to have this focus exactly right. Now, obviously, not everyone's born that way, and that's why you have nearsightedness or farsightedness because of either the cornea is a certain shape, is too bent a certain way, or the eye is sometimes a little bit too big or too small. and then the light doesn't get exactly to the back.
对，这个就是上帝创造这个人类眼球是非常非常奥妙的，它所有的都要配合得很好。这个角膜把光聚进来，跟这个眼球的 size 各个大小，各种要调节的刚刚好，你就是可以看得清楚。
But with glasses, we just put a lens on the front to bend it so that it will bend it so it will be correctly, so it will be focused on the end. That's what we do with glasses.
对啊，眼镜就是把这个前面这个 cornea 这地方调节，让你能够聚光刚好在网膜上面。
Farsighted is the opposite of nearsighted. So farsighted, this is normal. Farsighted actually it's not even focused here. It's past here. So the point, if you look at the point, it would actually focus back here. That's farsightedness.
另外一个就是远视，远视的意思就是刚好相反，你的过于不及都不行。这个是聚光以后，这聚的这太后面了，在这个聚光的地方往后，这根本照不到这个地方。
Yeah. So farsightedness actually you're focused beyond infinity. So infinity, you're actually focused past infinity. So then you need glasses to focus the light closer to you, basically. Yeah. Okay. Old-sighted. So this is presbyopia, but basically. If you're looking at something far away, it's okay. But then what happens? You bring that something closer, like a book or you're reading an iPhone. Then it focuses too far back. Like it goes. So this is something far away over here, and it's still okay. And you bring it closer and closer and closer, and then the image is back here. So it's blurry when you bring something close to read. That's what happens with it. You can have good vision far away. When you bring something close, you need the glasses to read.
这个老花眼年纪到了一个程度，大家都知道。什么时候看不到？你要问他说你是远的看不见还是近的看不见？他一定跟你讲说我要去买一个那个看 reading glass， 就是这个意思。这个看远没有什么问题，他要是要看近的时候要调回来，他要用眼镜的把它焦距调回来。
If you're nearsighted, you just take your glasses off and you can read close. Because the nearsighted people, you're already focused at close. Last one is astigmatism. So astigmatism isn't again, it's not disease, but basically the shape of the eye is supposed to be like. The shape of the cornea should be supposed to be kind of round, like a soccer ball or a basketball. But then the astigmatism, the front of the cornea is actually shaped more like a football. So then you see how it's not completely round on the front.
OK， 这个散光呢，简单讲的意思就是看到这个图就知道，你最主要就是你的角膜的那个形状呢，由那个足球或是那个。篮球变成说橄榄球的样子， 所以它就会有闪光。
Right. And so with astigmatism, things are blurry, kind of both near and far. It's blurry, kind of everywhere. So you need glasses to fix that.
对啊，它是远近都有问题，所以它要眼镜来矫正。
Yeah. Okay, that's it. But that's not disease. So these are not disease. They're all correctable with glasses. Okay. All right. So let me just. Any questions about glasses so far? Or?
有没有问题关于这个？就是看验光师，
It's very basic.
看
I just want to go
你
through
的视力的，有问题的话，现在可以提问。
Oh.
You saying that you're born with that nearsighted,
Yes.
but then in Asia we always say,
reading.
you just read too much,
Yeah.
you do too
So
much homework.
yeah. So you're born with it, and you also change. Your eye changes over time. So especially when you're very, very young. When you're very young, the shape of the eye and the eye grows. And so nearsightedness. So let me go back. Nearsightedness. The problem with nearsightedness is the eye is too big. The eye is too long. So the eye is too long this way, and the light's focused back here, and that can happen. So there's theory on why that happens. Some of it is genetic from your parents. But some of it they think is maybe from reading too much, but there's no actual proof that it happens, but they think probably there's something to do with when you read a lot when you're young. Your eyes definitely change between when you're born to when you're in your mid-20s. After your mid-20s, your eyes don't change for a long time until, very little until you start getting cataracts. But yeah, your cornea and the shape of your eye, they grow and they change between 0 and mid-20s, basically. So yeah, so you're born, you're born a certain way, but you can change, your eyes can change shape over time. And obviously there's lots of different diseases that can change, like the shape of your cornea. If you get injured, like if you get plenty of different injuries that can affect the cornea, or if you get a cataract, different things happen when you're younger that can change that. But in general, a lot of these things are kind of the shape of your eye when you're born, or how it's going to grow. So some of it is genetic, some of it's, outside. I don't know if that answers the question. But But it's not, again, I wouldn't consider them diseases because if it's correctable with glasses, if you can wear glasses and see 20/20, then you wear glasses, you know. But all these other diseases I'm going to talk about later, you cannot fix with glasses. It has to be with other things, yeah.
对，刚刚他简单讲一下，就是说他问的问题是说，近视是不是都是后天因为太用功了，看太多书，眼睛用太多？理论上没有在医学上有证明说是因为这样子，大部分都是说天生的你的眼睛这个视力就有问题，或是后天当然有一些部分的是因为你眼睛用的太多，因为这个 cornea 这个角膜它是会改变的，在你在使用它也会改变，所以可能有先天有后天。
All right. Okay. So, any other questions? I hope did that answer your question. Okay. Any other question? Okay. Let's So let's talk about dry eye. I think dry eye is no one likes to talk about it. It's kind of boring, but I want to talk about it because it's probably #1 complaint of anyone comes into my office is this problem, dry eye. Ask any eye doctor, that's their #1 complaint. So usually, if someone has pain in their eye, they feel like my eye's burning, or they feel like there's something in my eye, like there's sand in my eye, or grit in my eye, or they feel like, sometimes I look at a book and it's kind of blurry, and I blink and it's clear. That's all from dry eye. Sometimes they feel like they're making too much tears, like, oh, my eye's very watery. That's from dry eye. So that's like a lot of problems that people have is from dry eye. Especially Southern California is very dry here, and people come in a lot with a dry eye. So it's the #1 cause of eye irritation, eye pain, #1 complaint of all patients coming to the office, and it's also #1 cause of temporary blurred vision. Obviously, if you have other problems, you can have permanent blurred vision, but if dry eye is the #1 cause. If it's clear one day, the next day is not clear, and the next day is clear, that's probably dry.
OK， 这个第一名的在眼科诊所看的病人，第一个 complaint 就是说眼睛太干了。这个在医学上呢，很多他进来的 complaint 就是说，他觉得眼睛呢感觉到有异物感，里面好像有什么东西在扎着他的眼睛。有时候是眼睛看，有时候模糊，有时候好，有时候就是不是持续的看不见，但是他有时候就模糊，这些都是干眼的症状。
Right. So. Yeah, so I mean, and there's some people who have very severe dry eye that, we have to do some more treatments for them, but this is the very most common thing. What do people experience? I talked about this a little bit. They feel like kind of eyes burning. They also feel like the eyes are very tired at the end of the day, very, very tired, they have to rest their eyes. They feel like there's sand inside their eye. They feel like there's something poking. Sometimes it feels like a poking feeling, like stabbing kind of feeling. And their eyes are watering all the time. Also, when they're reading or when they're using a computer, everything is get blurry. Like when they're reading a book, it's like things get blurry and they can't see after like 1 minute, something like that. That's from dry eye.
OK， 这个是更进一步讲说 dry eye 是这个干眼症，大部分的人都讲什么？眼睛觉得有灼烧感，或是里面感觉到说眼睛很疲倦，反正用眼睛用很久了，尤其在每天工作完的时候，那有的人是讲说里面感觉到有沙一样的，就是会觉得很不舒服，或是觉得有石头在里面，有时候会觉得有刺痛感，觉得说什么东西刺到很尖锐的那种痛也是有可能。那这里要特别注意的是说，干眼症不是说一直讲说眼睛干，大部分人都讲说因为流眼泪，它是很 watery。
Yes.
那个就是它的特色。所以你跟医生讲说你眼睛很多水，那不表示说你的眼睛是分泌很多那个，是因为太干了，所以它才会产生这个症状。
Right. Exactly. So what causes it? There's a lot of causes for dry eye. Some of it is lack of tears is probably not the main cause. That's usually if you're taking certain medications or you have certain disease. That's usually not. Usually most people make enough tears, but that's one cause. A lot of it is from the environment. So if you have the fans, or the AC blowing on you all day, or if you're like looking at the computer all day, you're not blinking. So what happens when people stare at a computer is they forget to blink. They blink probably half or 1/3 of the normal amount of blinking, and their eyes get very dry. They don't notice. It takes a while for your eyes to notice that they're dry. So you can do that for a few hours and not notice a problem, and then all of a sudden your eyes are very, very dry. So the environment is probably the most of the problem. Another problem is that tears can evaporate too quickly. So your tears are not just all water. They're actually a little bit of oil inside the tears. And that oil actually comes from your eyelids. So in the eyelids, there's a little bit of, there's these glands that make a little bit of oil all the time mixed with your tears. So the tears don't evaporate so quickly off the eye. I don't know if that's too much. But anyway, yeah, okay.
这个干眼症呢是什么原因造成的？常常就是第一个大家知道的就是有些疾病它会产生那个眼泪分泌不够。那另外就是说这个环境里面呢，比如说南加州这个湿度是非常低的，所以它眼睛的如果你的眼睑没有常常这样子给它润滑，给它盖起来的话，就会这样子。还有的人就是那个看。尤其现在用 3C 的产品很多，你眼睛忘记了，所以一直盯着那个荧幕看，那个也会造成这个眼睛的干。那另外就是这个眼睑上面分泌的东西，它并不是完全是水状的，它还有油的东西，两个混在一起，所以它可能这个 tears 很容易这样子挥发掉，也会造成干眼症，发炎是有可能造成。
Right, so if you don't have enough oil from the glands and it mixed with the tears are just water, they're just going to evaporate too quickly or else put you dry. That's a very common problem. And then also if you have some inflammation in the eye too, from allergies or from some other cause, that also make your eyes dry too. So there's all different causes for dry eye. We'll keep going. So what do we do about dry eye? The first thing I tell people to use is lubrication drops or artificial tears you get over the counter. You don't need a prescription for them, you just buy them over the counter. Nothing that says get rid of the red, so not Visine, not Clear Eyes, nothing that says get rid of the red or get rid of the pink. That's not the kind of drops you want. You want the kinds that's for dry eye specifically. I'll show you a few examples. It doesn't really matter which one, but I'll show you a few examples. You can use them up to 4 times a day. If you want to use more than 4 times a day, there's actually some versions of them don't have any preservative. And those that don't have any preservative, you can use those actually 15 times, 20 times, as many times as you want. Every single day, totally fine to use. The ones that come in a bottle will have a little bit of preservative. Those I would only recommend up to 4 times a day. The ones that don't have preservative, they'll be in the tiny little small vials. Those you can use, like I said, anytime you want. There's also different versions, there's thicker drops, very thicker ones, and there's kind of more thinner ones. The thicker ones do tend to last longer on your eye. The thinner ones kind of evaporate very quickly. So I generally recommend more thick drops, the non-preservative ones if you're going to use more than 4 times a day. The last thing is to mention, there's also gel or ointment. You can get actually even thicker ointment that you can put in your eye that's also over the counter. I usually don't recommend during the daytime. You can, but it just makes the vision kind of blurry. So I tell people to use it before bedtime when they go to sleep. And it helps their eyes kind of be nice and lubricated while they're sleeping. But you can use it during the day too. It just makes it more blurry. So, yeah.
OK， 所以现在讲到说干眼症怎么治疗，第一步，眼科医生都会建议你用这种所谓的人工眼泪。这种人工眼泪呢是很水状的东西，但是要提醒你说，这种药不需要处方就可以买得到，所以在使用的时候有几点要特别注意，因为它这种有几点不一样，你不要去买到这种 Visine 这种东西，它里面有加药，这你要的东西是光是这种 tears 的这种代替的东西，所以其中呢有2种，一种就是说它是有放那个防腐剂，就是30 cc 的，你买到那个东西你要小心，它里面有防腐剂，它不希望你一天点超过4次。你如果要点超过4次，要去挑，它就是一买就是整排30支还是怎么样，一次就是打开1支就是用1次就完了。你那个可以里面没有放防腐剂的，你可以用超过4次没有关系。另外就是说，还有的就是可以用那种比较油脂性的这种 gel 或是胶状的，或是那个 ointment 这种东西呢，他建议最好是晚上才用，因为你擦眼药膏也是，你这样一擦上去，白天一擦，你开车会有问题，你看起来会模模糊糊。所以油状的东西尽量晚上用，白天不要用。
Excuse me. Yeah. Why do you have to worry about dry eye if you're sleepy? You don't feel anything.
So actually, the eye can dry out while you're sleeping, and part of it is because to actually lubricate your eyes need to blink. So like when you're sleeping, there's no blinking going on. It's kind of like it does help with your eyes closed. It's kind of like your car, right? You can cover the car, but covering the car with a cover does protect it, but it doesn't lubricate it very well. Like what's actually lubricating is when you use the windshield wiper with the fluid. So So when you blink, actually every time you blink, you make a little bit of tear that comes out every time you blink. When you're sleeping, you're producing a little bit, but it's not the same. You're not cleaning off and kind of, it's like a car. So the car, when you turn on, do the windshield wiper with the fluid, it cleans every time. If you just close it, cover it, it protects it, but it's not quite as good. So your eyes can actually dry out while you're sleeping. Does that make sense? It's not as bad. I mean, obviously, if your eyes open when you're sleeping, it's much worse. But yeah. So some people sleep their eyes open. That's much worse. But if your eyes closed, that's better than open. But it's not as good as the actual blink. So some people they dry out even when they're sleeping.
OK， 这个问题就是说，你在睡觉的时候是不是要考虑到说，这个眼睛会太干？答案是对的，因为眼睛不会干，不是说因为你眼皮盖起来就不会干。是上帝叫你那个眼皮要动作，要有上下，这就像车子的那个windshield那个刷子，它有喷水，有个刷子这样刷过去，你的眼球才会保持保证有湿度，所以不是说盖起来就好。尤其那个晚上像张飞一样，眼睛会睁开睡觉，你要小心，更厉害更干。
Yeah. Right. Okay. So these are some examples. These are just two different brands, Refresh and Systane. These are some examples of the non-preservative. You see this kind of smaller ones. Anything that comes in a bottle will have some preservative in it, but it's okay. I mean, preservative is not like the worst thing ever, but if you use it a lot, then it can sort of build up in your eye. This is an example of some ointment. They have the different kind of ointments here that you can put in your eye. This is some other brands. Same thing. These are the non-preservative. This is regular, and gel. Gel tears, ointment. So all the different brands, they're almost all the same. I mean, they're different, but some people, they like one brand or the other. If you try different ones, you like one, you use that one. They're not one's all better than the other one is. Yeah. But generally, the brand name ones are better than the generic. They spend a little bit more time producing it, so it's a little bit better than the generic ones.
这就是简单介绍一下 over the counter 很多这种 artificial tear 有没有什么显著的不同？当然是就像你坐经济舱跟坐头等舱，你花的钱越多，大概是那个 brand name 就是比那个 generic 好一点。那你最重要就是为什么防腐剂的你要小心，因为防腐剂会累积在眼睛，也会出问题。
Okay, so I mean I really don't. It doesn't matter which brand. So the other thing I mentioned before, blepharitis. I don't know the Chinese name. I think that's it. But blepharitis is also very common and related to dry eye. It's when the eyelids, the glands in the eyelids, get inflamed and also don't produce enough oil, or they produce too much oil. So what happens is the eye, it doesn't produce enough oil, and the tears don't get that oil, and they evaporate too quickly. And then sometimes what can happen is when you're sleeping, it produces too much oil, and then when you wake up in the morning, you have a lot of kind of mucus, and your eyes stuck together, or sometimes you have like crust, like kind of dry, that dry stuff on your eyelids when you wake up in the morning, that crusty stuff, is because of blepharitis. It's because your eyelids are making a little bit of oil while you're sleeping, and it makes too much, and then it makes your eyes stuck together. So that's blepharitis. And the way we treat blepharitis is with warm compresses. Usually I tell people twice a day, take a nice clean warm towel, just lay it over their eyes, and just gently massage for a few minutes, twice a day. What that does is warm up the glands and the eyelids, so that allows better flow of the oil. And then also to clean your eyelashes very well. So I tell people clean the eyelashes, clean the edge of the eyelids very well. You can have bacteria that grows on your eyelashes, and that makes the inflammation worse, makes blepharitis worse. And there's also, go ahead, yeah.
干眼症的其中一项就是眼睑，就是睫毛的地方，它有很多腺体在分泌这种油脂性的东西。白天的时候呢，它分泌的太少也会出问题，因为你的眼泪会很容易挥发掉，所以会干。晚上的时候呢，去睡着的时候，它那个腺体会分泌过多的那个油脂的东西，早上起来眼睛就黏住了。你看很多小孩子就是那种问题，早上起来。长眼屎的这些东西都粘在一起，这个就是它油太多了，所以油太多也是产生问题，两个都粘在一起，怎么治疗？第一个就是用热毛巾热敷，把一天做2次这样热敷。那第二个就是做那个这个眼睛有睫毛嘛，这个睫毛地方，尤其是女孩子有 make up， 你要小心要清干净。这些 eye 里的有这些，它有特殊的刷子，可以去把这个眼睑刷干净。
Right. There's also a few sprays. These two, they make this spray is actually to help clean the eyelids. It's a basically not antibiotic. It's like a cleansing agent, but it's very good. It kills off the bacteria on the eyelids, and you can use that to clean your eyelashes too. So that's fairly new. This one is prescription. This one's over the counter. They're basically about the same thing, but that also helps with cleaning your eyelids and eyelashes too. So
现在就是讲在药法处方跟没有处方都可以买到有一种 spray， 这就是它可以喷的，这种也是有帮忙。
This is those two companies. This is a kind of a scrub. You can get that over the counter. That's just basically these little wipes that you use to clean your eyelashes. This is a spray. And this is also a spray. This one's this is prescription, Avenova, and this one's over the counter. You can buy it on Amazon. They're both to help clean the eyelids, and they tend to work pretty well if you have blepharitis. So yeah. Anyway, so that's that. Okay, all right. So what else can you do? Vitamins. Fish oil has been shown to help. Flax oil to help with dry eyes. I tell everyone if they have dry eyes, take some fish oil. It's actually quite a bit. It's 2,000, 3,000 milligrams a day of omega-3. That's a lot, but I tell people. I mean, that's what the studies show. So it's a lot of omega-3. Tell people rest your eyes. So if you're using a computer or if you're watching TV, if you're using your tablet or your phone, close your eyes. Every 10 minutes or 15 minutes, or you can pray. Just pray for just a very quick amount of time. 10 seconds. Just close your eyes. And then just do it. Every 10, 15 minutes. Just remember that. Avoid dry things. Avoid the fans and vents. People have the car, the AC blowing on their face. That's really drying your eyes out. So anyway, and airplanes are very, very dry. Airplanes probably the driest place you can go in the whole world is in an airplane. So when you're in an airplane, just be really careful. Just put in some of the ointment, or just close your eyes and try not to get your eyes. People get very, very dry really quick in the airplanes. Anyway.
OK， 这个就是在讲说这些干眼到底维他命能不能帮忙？有啊，这个好东西大家都要知道，鱼油。但是不是说很多人就很小气，他就说吃1颗就可以，没有那回事啊。治疗东西都大概是要2颗3颗，就要记得每餐吃完饭你就吃1颗就对了，就3000。这样就够了。然后呢，眼睛要记得休息。我想这个讲很容易，说 every 10 minutes， 每10分钟叫你把眼睛盖起来10秒钟。我想打电脑的人都知道，3个钟头也不合眼。
Exactly。
所以你要弄一个让你
，
警告自己。你这个另外一点就是坐飞机你要很小心，或是你有习惯开车的时候那个 fan 还是那个气照着自己的脸。吹很凉快，对不对？眼睛很容易干的。
Yeah. Especially ceiling fan in your bedroom while you're sleeping. That also okay. So there's also other prescription drops too. There's these two different brands. You might see the commercial on TV. One's called Restasis, and the other one's called Xiidra. Restasis has been around for maybe about 10 years. Xiidra came out about 2 years ago, 1 year ago. They're both prescription only, and they're medication. So they're actually to help treat dry eye. You use them twice a day. They're preservative free. They don't have any preservative. And the thing that you have to know about these drops, they don't work right away. So usually the Restasis takes about 2 to 3 months to start working. It takes a long time. So you use it twice a day. You don't feel any different. You have to wait. You have to keep going using it. Xiidra takes about 1 to 2 months. So it's not like immediate effect. The reason for that is because the medicine in them is very, very, very diluted. It's like very small amount of medicine in them. So there's really no side effects really with them, but it just takes a long, long time for them to work. And if you stop using it, then the dry eye will, probably come back. There's not many side effects. The only thing I'd say side effects would be it stings when you put it in sometimes. You still use artificial tears along with using these drops. It's not in place of the artificial. You still use both. So that's
除了用那个artificial tear 这个人工的眼泪。还有没有其他治疗？有，有目前在 market 里面有2种药，这2种药呢，不是说那个马上速成的，你用了马上有效，要很有耐心的。这其中一个药叫做 Restasis， 这个药呢要用到2个月到3个月，一天要用2次，所以要很有耐心，不要第2天就打电话给医生没有效。 因为它说明书已经跟你讲，你要用一阵子。那另外一个新的，最近2年的另外一个产品，也是要1个月到2个月，所以你口袋也很深，这个要自己自付的，因为你有那个 copay， 它是要处方的，
Right.
所以要有耐心去用。那可以跟 artificial tear 一起用。
So yeah, so it's helpful, but obviously, you know, the insurance companies they'll cover Restasis more than Xiidra because it's older, but it's still, you know, it costs money. So, you know, understand if you can't use it. You know, the companies obviously they want you to use it forever, but you know, and it does work, but it does also cost some money too. So anyway, but then the argument they say is that if you use it, then maybe you use less artificial tears. You're not spending all your money on artificial tears, so maybe it's a little bit cheaper than buying a bunch of artificial tears all the time. So I don't know, but anyway, that's one of the things to think about the cost. And the problem is dry eye. There's no cure. So people usually, if they have dry eye, they're usually going to have dry eye for the whole life. So you have to just treat it kind of as a chronic sort of problem.
这是慢性的病，所以自己心里要有准备，见仁见智，看你要花多少钱。
Yeah, really, it's. This is an example. This Restasis comes in a box. Xiidra, same thing. It looks a lot like. It basically looks just like the preservative-free artificial tears, but it's not. It's the medicine. Yeah, it's no preservative. Okay, what else can be done? So there's the tear ducts are right here. So in the very inner corner of your eye, on the edge of the eyelid, there's these 2 little holes. One's right here and one's right here. Those holes are actually what drains the tears away from your eye into your nose and then into your mouth, actually, into your throat. And so actually there's this little hole and there's actually a tube inside the skin here. It goes all the way to your nose. Your nose is here and then all the way into your down your throat. And that's where your tears go. So each eyelid has 1 hole. There's one here, and the other side is one there. And what you can do is there's this small plug, there's like kind of a rubber plug that we can put, it's very, very small. It's very small, I mean it fits in there. And you put it inside one of the holes and it kind of plugs it up so the tears, they can only go through the other hole. And then, so you have more, the tears stay longer on your eye, basically. That's the whole idea behind that. That's done in the office, it's very easy, and that can sometimes help the dry eyes.
OK， 还有一个变通办法就是，给你装一个装置，就是说干眼症怎么来，就是你的泪水一直流出去，那这个眼睛有一个构造，就是有2个洞，那个洞就是叫泪管，那你泪管就把它用个盖子把它盖起来，这个他们很简单，在 Office 就可以把你这个盖子盖上去，那意思就是说让你眼泪会留在眼睛的时间多一点，所以你不会干眼症。
Yeah. Problem is sometimes you put these plugs in, sometimes you put in both of them, and then they make too much tears, and the tears are coming down their cheek too much. That happens sometimes, so they need to take it out. Yeah.
所以有时候会矫枉过正的，就是那会往外流出来。
Yeah, exactly. So, okay. Any questions about dry eye? There's more to talk about, but that's the basic. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I heard somebody say the humidifier.
Yeah, very, very helpful. Yeah, so I also tell people if you're going to be in the same room all day, then get a humidifier. Like if in your workplace or in home, if you're in the same room, then getting a humidifier really helps. So people tend to have less problems in like Taiwan or like places where it's very humid. Their dry is not as bad, the dry eye, unless they run the air conditioner. If they run the air conditioner all day, then it's bad. But you know, if they don't run the air conditioner too much and it's humid, then it's you know it's much better than a very dry area, you know, like California.
OK， 在像加州很干的地方，不像台湾很湿，你可以用这种湿气的那种产生的机器，可以让湿度提高，那也是一个方法。
Yeah, it will help. Any other questions? Okay, dry eye. Very, kind of boring, but we'll move on. Okay, cataracts. So cataracts, a lot of people want to talk about. What is a cataract? It's when the lens inside the eye becomes cloudy. It's not in the front of the eye. It's not like something growing on the front. It's inside. It's actually behind the pupil. It doesn't hurt. Cataracts never hurt. If you feel pain, it's not from the cataract. It's completely painless. It's not a new growth. It's the existing lens everyone's born with, which becomes cloudy. And it causes a gradual decreased vision or blurred vision, not usually all of a sudden. It's going to be over very slowly over time. Sometimes it'll be a little faster, like over a few months or even 1 month. That would be very quick. And it's not going to be like one day is better, like the morning is better, the nighttime is worse. Not like that. It's gradually over time. So everyone eventually will get cataracts if you live long enough. So everyone, yeah. So if you live like it's like getting white hair, you know, everyone, or you lose your hair, something like that. Everyone, it's like getting wrinkled skin. It's just an aging process. If you live long enough, you will get cataracts. It's totally normal. It's not like some people are like, oh, my uncle had cataracts, and yeah, of course, everyone has cataracts. So yeah, it's not like something special about your uncle. Like, everyone eventually gets cataracts. Some people get it much earlier. Some people get it in like their 50s or 40s. Some people get it much later, like in their 80s or even 90s. It takes a long time for them to get cataracts. So the age is maybe different, but eventually everyone will get it. It usually starts in the 60s. Yeah. You wanna?
OK，现在我们进入很有趣的，就是说白内障是什么？每个人很公平，你只要活得够久，每个人都会得。所以眼科医生都在等着你。你有2个眼睛，所以都是要经过2次手术，不能同时做。Is that right?
Yeah.
You don't do it at the same time. Right?
No, you don't do it at the same time.
OK， 所以大家都有讲，所以这个要注意听。怎么样造成的？就是你只要活得够久，渐上帝创造，我都是跟病人讲说，眼睛呢跟每一个器官都一样，上帝创造这个东西，他也给你弄了一个 warranty time。warranty time 就大概60岁，60岁以后你看看就会开始。有的60岁，有人70岁，有人80岁，所以不要高兴得太早，你还没有得到，就是还是会有。所以这个是 aging 本身就会，这个水晶体的整个会浑浊在起来的，而且它不会痛。OK， 听很清楚。眼睛如果是痛的，绝对不是 cataract， 可能还有其他毛病。
Right。
所以另外呢，也有人讲说，这个不是说那个 aging 它是生出来就有这种白内障，有小孩子也有很尖利的白内障。
That's true。
天生的。所以这些都有可能造成这种原因。它症状怎么来的？它是慢慢来的，它不是说今天早上看得很清楚，下午就开始都看不见了。它是会每天这样渐进式的，让你不知不觉你就已经失去你的视力。所以另外呢，就是刚刚我们讲的，就是活得够久，这其实是对每个人讲，每个人现在都多活10岁，你就可以去看每个国家，不管男的女的，都会活到80、90岁的很多。所以一定会碰到，所以要跟眼科医生非常好，一定会照顾到。
All right. This is just a picture. So remember, the lens is actually behind the pupil. So this is a normal lens. The cataract is here. It's behind the pupil. So it's behind the colored part of the eye. That's where it is. Okay, it's right here. I'm going to show you maybe a better picture. Yeah. So I mean, it's not very big, but so this is like an example of the cataract right here. Behind the pupil, it becomes like sometimes it's white, sometimes it's not white, sometimes it's more like yellow, sometimes it's more like red or brown. But anyways, behind the pupil, like normally you see it's clear, so it's black. So normally your lens is clear, so behind the pupil looks totally black. But the lens is definitely there, it's just clear, you just can't see it. But when the cataract happens, then behind the pupil it gets more cloudy, and that's what the cataract is.
你怎么知道你有白内障？看这个图就很清楚了。正常的眼睛左边的就是你要看人家瞳孔，那个瞳孔如果是明亮有光，里面黑黑的，那个就是正常。里面开始有产生白的或是黄的，都是有问题的，那就是开始在进行。
Okay, there's another example here. This is like an actual person's eye. That's an example of a cataract. Obviously, you have to get very close to them and shine a light at the right angle to see it. A lot of times you won't. It's not that obvious if someone has a cataract unless you look kind of closely. But that's a cataract. Okay. Is it dangerous? It's not dangerous. It makes your vision more blurry. So in that way, your vision is worse. But it's not a permanent condition. It can always be fixed. So they're actually not considered an emergency or urgent or something that needs to be fixed right away. They're not by themselves. They can't cause any permanent loss of vision because you can always take the cataract out. So it won't ever be like, it's too late, we can't do the cataract surgery. That'll never happen. We can always do the cataract surgery. Cataracts always can be removed and then your vision is restored. If that's your only problem is the cataracts, then your vision will be restored. And also, again, they're painless. So, yeah.
对，那白内障就是要知道这种不是一个急诊的，眼科里面也有分会被叫到急诊出去的，那个就是网膜剥离的，所以他很聪明，他选的 glaucoma 跟 cataract， 他不会被叫急诊，因为 cataract 什么时间都可以开。很多病人就问我说，陈医师我要不要开这个？因为我的眼科医生说现在已经成熟了，可以开了。我说很简单，你就测你的视力到了一个程度，还是你自己觉得说？我现在视力真的是差了很多，那大家就是要开。
Exactly, yeah.
So 以随时都可以开，你不要问我说哪时候开，太早开、太晚开都可以开。
Right.
但是如果开完以后，你觉得说，哎，怎么人家都说那个光线看起来10倍亮，怎么你 你开完以后只有1倍2倍没有是很好，你大概不是只有白内障，你还有其他的眼睛的问题，
Right.
再回去诊所。
Right.
Okay?
You got it. Can you do anything to prevent cataracts? Not a little bit. Like sometimes, like the sun. So the sunlight, the UV from the sunlight, does make cataracts grow quicker. So a lot of people that farmers or they're like surfing a lot. Those kind of people that are outside all the time. They tend to get cataracts much younger. So generally, I tell people wear some sunglasses, UV protection outside. Certain diseases can make cataracts grow quicker, like diabetes. So control your diabetes, that kind of thing. Some medications can also cause cataract. There's a lot of medications that can cause cataract growth. Steroid is one very common one that we use that can cause cataracts to grow. So yeah, I mean, eventually everyone will get cataracts, but you can sort of slow it down a little bit if you control your diabetes, if you kind of watch the kind of medicines I guess you take, and you try to wear sunglasses outside. But there's really not a whole lot we can do other than that to prevent cataracts.
OK， 能不能预防白内障？简单的讲，就是只有几件事情你能做的。第一个就是出去了一定要准备到外面，不管是阴天还是晴天，你就要最好戴比较好的这种 sunglasses 太阳眼镜，就是这个太阳的光呢，有可能会让你的白内障提早出现。那另外就是说，有糖尿病的人就是要知道，糖尿病会产生早期的这种白内障。那另外就是很多药物，尤其是长期使用类固醇的，它会引起白内障产生比较早。
How do you fix cataracts? There's no medicine. It's just surgery. Surgery is actually very quick. Less than 10 minutes. Most surgeons can do less than 10 minutes. Anywhere between, some people, like my fastest is probably 3 or 4 minutes, very quick. Anywhere between 10 to 20 minutes. And over the last 20 years, the technology's gone a lot better. It's a day surgery, you come in and out the same day. Recovery is usually very quick. Some people see very well even the next day. Usually, I tell people about a week for most of the recovery. Some people take longer than 1 week. But a lot of people see much better even in a few days, so very quick. So it's not a big high risk surgery. I mean, there are risks to it, but it's not a high risk surgery. So we do a lot of these cataracts.
OK， 眼睛开白内障是一个非常低危险度的手术，普通都是用局部麻醉，而且是当天手术，可以当天回家。普通不一定要到医院，到了那个外科的中心就可以做 surgical center。那这种手术的恢复的很快，我认识的人很多，就是今天开了，明天他就回去上班。那大部分的人是在1个礼拜以内就可以恢复。
Okay. Anyway, just really quickly, it's the original lens is actually removed from the eye. A new lens is placed into the eye. The new lens is usually made of acrylic, a kind of plastic, or silicone. The new lens is it's supposed to be permanent. Now, sometimes we have to remove the new lens, but I would say most cases it's supposed to be a permanent lens inside the eye. Usually we'll be using some drops after surgery to help with prevent infection and also to help with the eye with the healing. And there's usually some visits afterwards to check up on the eye. That's just a general idea to expect.
OK， 这开刀要注意的就是说，它拿掉是把你原来的那个水晶体拿掉，给你置入一个新的水晶体，这有2种成分的，这放进去以后应该是 permanent， 就是说一辈子都可以享用不尽。那另外就是说，它会用一些那个眼药水，在开刀完以后这几个礼拜让你使用，能够可以预防发炎，让你能够比较快速的恢复。
Okay. So there has to be some incisions made in the eye. You saw where the lens was. The lens is in the middle of the eye. So yes, we can't just, wave our hand. We have to do something, So there's an incision that's made. It's usually made with a blade or with a laser. There's a laser that can make the incisions, but we still have to go in there to take out the cataract. After we take out the cataract, we put the new lens in. The new lens actually has a certain power to it, like a prescription, just like glasses. The lens we put in there has a certain prescription, and it's actually matched to your eye. So everyone before cataract surgery gets some special scans of their eyes, where we actually determine everything about their eye, so we can figure out what power lens to put into the eye. And also the lens, there's some leeway into what kind of lens, what power lens we can put in there. So we actually can make the lens so you can see good far away, or intermediate, or close up. So that focus of the lens could be determined for what people want. Some people want to have very, very good far away vision. They want to see the smallest point on the mountain. They want to be able to drive, without glasses, but then they still have to wear glasses for reading. Some people, they want to see the computer very good, or they want to read very good without glasses. They don't mind wearing driving glasses. So it kind of depends on the person. With glasses, all this is correctable, but we usually ask people, what do you want to be able to see after surgery without glasses? Some people actually have a mix. They have one eye far and one eye near, and then they do a lot. So I usually, that's not just something I typically recommend as a first thing, but some people really they don't want to wear glasses, and they want to do one eye far and one eye near, and that's okay, and then they can read and they can see far away. But then if they lose a little bit of what we call stereo vision. I can talk a bit about, we talk about two eyes, and yeah, we'll talk a bit about stereo vision. Those people usually don't have very good stereo vision, but they can have very good far and very good near. So you can drive and read without glasses if they do the mix. But I don't usually tell everyone that option. It's just kind of it's just what if they want to. Yeah.
OK， 那刚刚讲的就是说，开刀前你要有一些事情要知道怎么问眼科医生，因为这个就像买车子一样，看你是要买 Mercedes 呢，还是要买 Toyota， 它有各式各样的，因为它的不是这个lens呢，可以的，按照你个人喜好，你如果要买的只是换一个新的lens，就是一个 plan， 就是说那个 yogurt 你去买回来，它没有味道。没有加糖，没有加什么东西，可以做那种叫做 genetic， 就是说 Medicare 大概就是付这个。如果你有 Medicare， 你要做这些，说我右眼要调整到近视不用戴眼镜，左眼要远视不用戴眼镜可以看到，他们也可以做到，因为它可以随着每个人的请求，它可以给你调整，要放进去那个 lens 有等级的不同，所以你要在没有装之前就要跟医生讲。你不讲的话，他就是给你放最普通的。
Right. So this is if you have the normal lens, the regular lens. There are also special lenses. So there's different types of special lenses. So we talk about the standard lens. There's a toric lens. The toric lens can actually correct for astigmatism. So the normal lens does not correct for astigmatism. If you have a lot of astigmatism, generally I do recommend a toric lens because it corrects for astigmatism. There's also a lens called a multifocal lens. These are kind of a little bit more detailed, but a multifocal lens, it has these different kinds of rings inside. I don't know if you can see this little ring. This is a regular lens. This is a toric lens. It looks very similar, except this has astigmatism correction. And this is called a multifocal. It has little rings inside there. This is very hard to see, but there's little rings. If you look inside, this is what the pupil, this is what the lens inside, it has little rings in there. That's this multifocal. This is with a toric lens inside that eye. Anyway, the multifocal lens, its main purpose is it can help you see far and near at the same time. It's not perfect at doing that, but it's much better than if you just had the regular lens. Some people will see kind of rings around lights with the multifocal, so it's not perfect. And so I don't push it very hard. If people want to do it, then I tell them it's an option. Both the toric and the multifocal are not covered by insurance, so you have to pay for the lens, and they're not cheap. So the insurance does cover this. Both of these are, you have to pay actually out of pocket for those lenses. They run usually around $2,000 to $2,500 per eye, something like that per eye. So, yeah. But,
看这个就是给你看看说这些镜片的装进去的装置有各种不同等级的，你不要讲就是用最简单的，这就是 standard， 就是没有加度数，没有各种。他建议的说是 toric 的 lens 就是有散光的人最好用这个，但是自己要加强。另外就是你如果戴眼镜就已经有戴 multifocal 的 progressive， 你大概想要用这个就是要自己加强的，但是他没有很建议说每个人都用这个，因为有好处有坏处。
Yeah, so it depends on the person. So
if you're not satisfied, can you redo it?
Yes, so these lenses, yes, they can be removed, and I have done some surgeries to remove the lens, put another lens in. It's possible, but generally not. We don't plan on doing that. So it's not something that you don't usually want to do another surgery on the eye if you can help it. It's not, and these lenses are meant to be permanent, but yes, you can take them out of the eye and replace them. Usually it's best to do that within the first year or first 6 months of doing the surgery. If you wait too long, it becomes the lens gets really stuck in there, and it's much harder to remove the lens. If it's within the first year, or first 6 months, it's much easier to remove if you need to do that. That's not something I tell people at all because we don't really want to take out lenses all the time. It's not something that you want to do it right the first time and not have to take another surgery.
对，刚刚讲的意思是说，做了以后不要后悔，后悔了最好要在1年以内，赶快去跟他讲你要换其他的，最好不要做这件事情。要做的话尽快，因为它会粘在里面，那个 lens 拿不出来，那就麻烦。
Usually you'll know if it's not, after within the first month, it will be pretty clear if the vision's not, is from the lens or not. Usually if there's a problem with the vision, it's not related to the lens, it's something else. But yeah, usually you'll know pretty soon if there's a problem with the lens. Okay, move on.
Question?
Oh, yes.
What's the pro and con for the toric lens?
So toric actually is basically, there's almost no cons to it. It's like, if you have astigmatism, I generally always recommend a toric lens because astigmatism is like, you want the best vision possible, you should correct the astigmatism. Otherwise, you do have to wear glasses most of the time or all the time if you have astigmatism. A lot of people don't have astigmatism, then the regular lens is actually pretty good. The problem with the regular lens, if you don't have astigmatism, is actually a good lens, is you have to choose distance or intermediate or near, which is not bad. It's just you have to choose which one you want to focus on. The multifocal lets you kind of do both. So that's kind of the advantages and disadvantages. Toric really there's not much disadvantage if you have astigmatism. If you don't have astigmatism, there's no point in the toric lens. Yeah. So it really depends, if you have astigmatism or not. But if you do, then I definitely recommend a toric lens for sure. Like I will get a toric lens for myself because I have a lot of astigmatism in my eyes. Yeah.
If you don't have a near sight and you have used the standard lens, still have the focus problem?
So it depends on what you want. So if you want to see far away after surgery, we can do that. But if you still want to see your near sight, you still want to see near, then we do that. But you can't do both. Really.
If you don't have near sight now, and you need to put a lens, you still need to choose the far.
Yeah. No matter what, you have to choose. Yeah. So you do have to choose what you want for the target, distance or intermediate or near for where you want the lens. But obviously, if you wear glasses, that it can make it. So this is without glasses. With glasses, you can correct for distance or near anything you want. So this is just with that. If you just wake up in the morning, what do you want to see? You want to see your Bible, or you want to see far away? Like where do you want to see? So this is without glasses. This is not without. With glasses, you can correct for everything. So this is what I ask people.
When should a patient go ahead with the surgery?
It's really dependent on the person. Number one, there's a certain standard that the insurance companies follow. So if your vision's too good, they won't let us do surgery. Otherwise, people just do surgery on anyone. But your vision has to be below a certain amount. It can't just be perfect vision, and you want surgery, right? Well, you can pay someone to do it. I mean, the insurance company won't do it. The second thing is, if your vision is bad enough to need surgery, then it's really up to you. Like, if you feel like, I really can't make out the small print on the book, or at nighttime I'm driving and the light is coming from the car is too bothersome to me, or during the daytime I can't read the small signs on the road. Those kinds of things are usually what people come in for. Why they're coming in for cataracts. So it depends on the person. Usually, sometimes what will happen is they go to the DMV to get renewed, DMV to renew their license, and they do the vision test, they fail. And then they're like, oh, I want my cataract surgery tomorrow because they want to be able to drive. Otherwise, the DMV won't give you the driving license. So sometimes if you wait long enough, then you'll fail your driving test. Low risk surgery, yes.
Why would we recommend like a one eye at a time?
So that's because there is a small chance of infection, and you don't want to take that risk because it's not an urgent surgery. It's not considered. You have to do this right now. It's not urgent. So no insurance companies won't cover both surgeries on the same day. It's not generally a normal practice. Now sometimes we do both eyes on the same time. Like for example, if there's someone that has like a mental disorder and they can only go to hospital one time. You don't want to bring the hospital many times. we do it both on the same day. Or if they're, yeah, something like that, they, you know, small child, they can only go one time, then we'll do both. But generally speaking, we try